When I pulled into the driveway, the lights inside were already glowing. The first hint that something wasn't right. On the porch, my hand froze halfway to the lock as I caught two familiar shadows moving behind the curtain. I pushed the door open slowly. The air felt heavy, stale, as though it had been waiting. My parents were sitting on the couch, side by side. My mother wore a smile that seemed painted on, and my father rested a hand on a folder that lay on the table between us. "Welcome home," my mother said softly. "We thought we'd surprise you." I glanced around. The paintings I'd hung were missing. The furniture was rearranged. It didn't feel like my home anymore. It felt borrowed, possessed. "It's a family property now," she added casually, like she was rehearsing a line. My father just nodded. I didn't argue. I said, "I know." They took my calmness for shock, but I wasn't surprised. I'd seen this coming. 2 months earlier, I'd proudly called to tell them I'd finally bought my own place, a modest 2-story with crooked fence and a wild garden. After years of scraping through college, juggling 2 jobs, saving every spare rupee, it was finally mine. They'd sounded proud at first, then curious, then too interested. My mother began asking about the deed, the title, the mortgage terms. It seemed harmless at the time. I should have recognized the pattern. I grew up watching them fight over inheritance, land, and money. Greed had carved deep lines in my family long before I understood what those arguments meant. When my grandparents died, love lost its voice to property disputes. I promised myself I'd never let that poison touch me. But blood doesn't warn you before it cuts. It began with their help. They offered to co-sign a small renovation loan, just to make things easier. I let them. My mother said she'd handle some paperwork and brought forms for me to sign. I didn't question it. Another mistake. Then my father asked for an extra key for emergencies. One more mistake. By the time I realized they had legally reclassified the property as a shared family asset, everything was already finalized, stamped, approved, and beyond reversal. My mother's signature rested neatly beside mine. That night, I didn't rage. I planned. Revenge, I learned, isn't about anger, it's about precision. I started methodically, transferred every bill, utility, and tax account solely under my name. Quietly, legally. Stopped making payments through the shared account and redirected them through a private escrow under my lawyer's advice. I documented everything, every transaction, every email. I smiled at family dinners, sent polite "love you" messages, and waited. Piece by piece, I gathered proof, copies of the forged forms, the notary record, the digital trail from her email. I never confronted them. I waited for tonight. When they arrived, my father opened his folder. "We've decided to sell the house," he said calmly. "It's best for everyone." My mother reached for my hand. "You'll get your share, sweetheart." I nodded. "You're right," I said. "It's a family property now." They relaxed, too soon. I slid my own folder across the table. Its label read, "Property Fraud Case Number 14219A." Her smile cracked first. My father's face went gray as he flipped through the pages. Photocopies of the forms, timestamp logs, and the forensic report proving the forgeries. "You filed documents under my name without my knowledge," I said quietly. "That's fraud." My mother stammered. "We were only trying to protect me." I cut in, "Like you protected your siblings when you rewrote Grandma's will." Silence fell, sharp as glass. "I've already transferred the deed back under my name," I continued. "You'll receive formal notice tomorrow. If you contest it, everything becomes public record." My father looked away. My mother's eyes filled, not with guilt, but with fear. I stood. "You taught me how to survive family politics," I said. "You just forgot who you were teaching." They left without another word. My mother hesitated at the door, but I didn't let her speak. When their car disappeared down the street, I stood there for a long moment, not triumphant, just steady. The house was silent again. Mine again. The light in the living room flickered, then steadied. I sat down where they'd been sitting, exhaled slowly, and let the quiet fill the room. It wasn't the walls or the deed I'd been fighting for. It was peace.